Ding, ding, ding. It is showtime. Hey, hello, my CNC brothers and sisters. I'm Garrett with IDC Woodcraft, your CNC router bit supplier. Happy Wednesday. We're coming to the end of July. This year has gone by just a little bit fast so far, but good thing is we've got, 3 more months of nice weather. I'm not one of those ones that about a quarter of the way through summer, I start dreading the fall and worrying about it. Nope, it is what it is. And when people tell me, oh man, it's getting cold out, I tell them, I promise it'll get warm out again. Don't just wait. Anyway, so yeah, we are about ready to rock and roll here. And it is one of those nights where you just ask me anything and we will I'll do my best to answer, and if I can't, I know our brothers and sisters out there are going to be helping you out anyway. So I have to get my cheat sheet available that our CNC sister, IDC Woodcraft executive Julianne has put together for me. Oh, she should see her in the background. She'll, what? Anyway. Okay, well, let's start off with what I always start off with. We'll try to buzz through this so we can start asking questions. Ask me anything. I'll do my best. First of all, let's see. Yeah. First of all, let's just keep everything clean. IDC Woodcraft has a zero tolerance policy for not nice comments. So we will be gently and quietly booted off if that kind of stuff comes around. We're all a bunch of creators. We're here to support one another, help each other grow, become better creators, grow our businesses, if that's what you want to do. Your questions, if you have questions, then start them off with a couple of question marks, because Julianne in the background, which you will meet shortly, and Liberty will be on board in a little bit, but the girls in the background will star those questions so they pull them to my attention. And so just put a couple question marks. And what else do we have? If I don't get to your question right away, just be patient and I will get to it. And at some point, if there's too many in the queue, then we'll have to stop taking them to see if I can get through them. And finally, there is something started from our brother, CNC brother, Mark Lindsay, some time ago. It's what's called the IDC Woodcraft drinking game. And so anytime I ask Julianne to do something or Liberty to do something, we all have to take our drink. So make sure you get your cups full of your favorite beverage. I promise I won't be falling down by the time we are done. But one of these times I just might. Okay. So I'm going to say some hellos here. First of all, let's just kind of scroll back up. And we got a brother, Mark Lindsay, on board. And Mark said he already ate. So normally, sometimes he's out on the grill and has to step away and then come back. And Oz and Brooks is here again. Hello, Chris Gallagher, and scroll down. By the way, if you're on Facebook watching this, then you might want to jump over to the IDC Woodcraft YouTube channel, because that's where most of the people are chewing the fat at. So scrolling through, Gary Bailey from Dresden, Ohio, and Ernie is from Clinton Township. Would that be Clinton Township, New Jersey, by any chance? Yeah, just kind of throw that in there. Bruce is here. And just scrolling up to the list here. We got about 68 people on board. Misty Woods is on board. I love those kind of names. Terry from Doggone Productions. Okay. All right. That was so. By the way, From Dog, it has always been my brother's nickname all the way through college, and so that kind of caught my attention. And okay, well, we are going to. Oh, Ellen's here. Hi, Ellen, Sister Ellen. And I want to know how things are going with you and your business. Is it growing? Are you keeping yourself busy? Ellen's got such a cool little business when it comes to CNC. This is one of the classic stories of this stuff just falling into your lap in a very unique way, making a very unique product and a very unique niche. Ellen could not have asked for a better deal. And we got Joe here and Jeremy Jordan from Double J Patriotic Designs. What's going on, Jeremy? Let's scroll down to this list a little bit more. See who else is on here. Patrick Goyer, and Midnight Sun Woodwork. Love that name. WXXRYY. I still can't remember your name. And Marcus is he's been on live here and he said, "Oh yeah, that's XYZ," and I just can never get it. Rich from Sequin. Where's Sequin? Ronnie, hello, Ronnie, and yeah, let's just kind of roll on. And we got our brother Jack in the shop as well. He's got his drink in hand. All right, I'm going to bring Julianne on board, just so you know who's in the background, keeping you all straight. And I got a face to the name, and is like getting more and more authority to run my life. It's like
may not be a bad thing.
Right. So, yep, there's Julianne. She'll be in the background, chewing the fat with you, and for all the questions that come out, of course. Our other CNC brothers answer a lot of those. I am probably about a day late and $1 short when I finally get to them, but because everybody else has helped them out already. But it's good to get that out there. And so, anyway, Julianne, how are things going with you? Just give the crew a rundown. What's going on Julianne's side of the world?
Well, not much. Just keeping you in line. I mean. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know, just getting a lot of stuff done. Kind of excited about IWF coming up. That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. So tell them what we're talking about today with IWF.
Oh yeah. So since we're going to be at IWF, and since that would be on a Wednesday and Wednesday night,
we will still be doing the live while I'm down at IWF. So
yep, we'll be coming to you from Atlanta. And we were thinking if some of you all are down there, possibly putting some names to some usernames to some faces. There we go. And inviting you all to, have 10 minutes or so on the live if you're there.
Yeah. So it'd be we'd get everybody together and we'd hang out, start the live and do just talk to a brother or sister, and then we'll switch out, talk to another one. Who all is in the background? Who all is doing this kind of stuff? So when I came up with that, Julianne's face just kind of lit up. Said, "Ooh, what a good idea!"
I'm ready to meet some people, in person.
Yeah. So show up at IWF. All right. Who is number one today? Who answered?
Oz, back from his vacation with his girlfriend. He was first to comment.
Ooh, Oz went on vacation with his girlfriends. Yep. Oz, I'm so glad to hear that. Awesome.
And in answer to Jack in the Shop's question, no, I have not got him to sign power of attorney yet, but it's coming.
No, pretty much. Yep. Julianne will be in my will. She'll be my executor. She'll own all my bank accounts. And okay, just ask Julianne to do something. Yep. Did totally. Garrett? Oh, Rich said, did I just ask her to do something? Did I? What did I ask you to do?
Yes, you did. Ask me to talk about IWF and our idea.
Ooh, nice catch. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, well, let's get on with the show. I'm going to bump you in the background. She will keep everybody in line. And when Liberty comes on board, then we will bring her out so y'all can say hello. All right. Don't have a whole lot of questions in the queue, but we're going to start with our brother Brooks. And so Brooks says he's in the market for benchtop joiner. Any thoughts? So I will say to anyone, give them your thoughts. Of whether he should get a benchtop joiner, what brand he should get, the size he should get in particular. And Brooks, you might want to throw in the comments, what do you intend to do with it? Like how big of material do you want to join down, right? Or plane down on the joiner. That's all relevant information. So also power, right? You want enough power on that joiner. So benchtop joiners. You want to consider about the power. Do a lot of checking on reviews for the equipment. And yeah, that's my suggestion there. All right, and let's get to Jim. Brother Jim. Okay, so did you all get the AltMill completed yet? Okay, well, that's a good question. So the AltMill, me having many irons in the fire. Oh, can you hear me? Yeah, looks like
Yep, we can hear you. We just can't see you.
yeah. Oh,
Oh, nope.
It switched my camera. I don't know why it did that. It like automatically switched the camera. Oh, when I move this thing, it loses its connection.
I just put my face on here so they can stare at me.
There it is.
Okay, it's back.
Yeah. So there's the AltMill, and I will let me give you a little rundown on this machine. And it looks kind of small right there right now, just in the camera. I'll give you a little rundown on this thing. So I've gotten to the point where the machine is assembled and I have got it running. So the AltMill is a new CNC router that has been put out by CNC Labs, and they're the company that make the long mill, the machine I've made most of my content on. This bad boy right there. And the AltMill was born of the CNC Labs coming to meet the market usage, up their game. There's a lot of other companies are making 48 by 48 workspace machines, so they decided to get on board with that too. And so I got it. It took about 5 hours to assemble it. So mine was in the first 50. So there were a couple bumps when it came to following the instructions, but they have asked for feedback on the instructions. It's just a couple things. One didn't talk about wire management at the end. When you're done plugging everything in, what do you do with all the surplus wire? And I can't remember what the other thing was, but I did do a dry run on it, and it's a lot faster than this puppy. So it has what they call the super long board on it. So the long mill has a control box. And the CNC Labs decided to come up with a new control board that can be expandable, right? And so they came up with what they call the super long board, which enables you to add into a lot of plugins, for lack of a better word, modules like tool offset data, which that doesn't mean much to a lot of people, but yeah, I'm only just discovering what it is. But that's the status of the AltMill. So the next thing to do is I'm going to do probably a little video on it tomorrow, just kind of talking about it. It feels very robust, and I really like that it's incorporated. The legs are incorporated into it, and yeah, then it's to put the spoil board on and do a real run on it. So I did a test run because I wanted to get an idea of the speed, because the big thing with the AltMill is the acceleration speed and deceleration speed. That is the limitation, the bottleneck when it comes to projects that have a lot of directional changes, like this dragon carve I did here. Very, very cool carve. This took 9 hours to do on the Phantom. And most of that time that is taken up on 3D carves is the acceleration, deceleration. So what I'm really interested in is the guys at CNC Labs focused on improving that. And so I wanted to dry run this project and see how long it took. I started to, but my computer had to be available for me talking to you. So didn't get to finish it up. So far, so good, though. The other thing about the AltMill, it is still very price friendly when you compare it to other 48-inch by 48-inch units. So I figure I will have a full-blown review on it, not next week, but the week after. And it may be about 3 weeks. So I have found that when I say I'm going to do something in a period of time, it usually takes twice the time. So just because there's lots of other stuff that I have to take care of as I am doing what I do as we are building up IDC Woodcraft. Oh, by the way, again, I have asked this several times, what tooling, router bits, and other CNC related tooling would you like to see on the IDC Woodcraft store? As you go through your journey and your CNC journey and you start to discover different things that you need. Right now, we're limited pretty much to router bits, but I do want to expand the product line. So throw in your ideas. All right. So Brooks, let's see where I'm at. So I got Brooks. We can get that one off the queue. And let's go to, I just want to see if there's any comment about the, oh, Brooks, you got a bunch of feedback I see already. Hello, Dan. Dan is on board. Dan, good child. Welcome back, brother. Okay. Let's get to another question. Are you guys talking plasma? I saw Jack say something about plasma tips. So if you want to know about a plasma cutter, Jack in the shop, this guy always just kind of amazes me because he's got a lot of technical stuff in his head. He will never admit to it. But I mean, he took a AltMill CNC router and he converted it to a plasma cutter. So as far as I'm concerned, that's like 10 levels above me. All right, let's get on to Misty Trim Carpentry. Garrett, have you ordered an AltMill from CNC? And if so, how long before you receive it? Well, I guess I already took care of that answer. So it was fun putting it together, though. It was easy to put together. All the components, they fit the way they were supposed to fit. The significant upgrade on the AltMill, by the way, and Julianne will put a link to the AltMill in the comments so you can drink. It is a ball screw driven CNC. Can you mount the AltMill on a table and not use the legs? Yes, you can. You can just take the legs off, although they integrated the spindle VFD, the spindle control, the emergency stop, and the control box. It's mounted on the side of one of the legs. So you'd have to relocate those in some way that you would want to do that. So, but otherwise, yes, you can do it without the legs, for sure. All right. Our brother Harold. Hey, Harold, Yard Sale LLC. Can we order your 2 new bits? So yeah, let's talk about router bits. We have a bunch coming for a new release, and I need to be starting to put together an email to let you, the CNC insiders, know what they are. But I can tell you they are 1/4-inch shank, and they step down. I got one that steps down to an 1/8-inch shank, and one that steps down to a 16th-inch cut diameter. So 1/4 to an 1/8 and 1/4 to a 16th. The 1/8 has a 5/8 flute length, and the 16th has a 1/4-inch flute length. I won't go longer on the 1/8 because then it becomes easier to snap it. What else we got coming? We got a very special new bit coming. And we are, as far as this question, we have literally, Harold, been talking about doing pre-orders and how we would manage that. So that takes that takes a little technical work in the background. So we have to work on that one. I will let you know. I will certainly let you know. Okay, let's go to Afron. All right. Hello, Garrett. We need a video on how to manage projects which has more than 10 hours carving time. You said we should do it in smaller section, but you're a new user, so I have no idea how to do it. That's an interesting thing. I've never thought about that, and I'm almost thinking Mark might have responded to that one too. But if not, that's a really good one to address. So I'm going to go back into our standard feed because I do want to look at this and see how people have responded. So you mentioned that at 8:04. Let's get up there and see. No comments right after that. But, okay. Let me switch back here. My thing is not telling me to go down to the bottom of the reader, of the scroll thing. I don't know why. We have a little, when you scroll up in the feed, you can hit a little button that takes you all the way back down to the bottom, and it wasn't doing that. So Mark did not answer that one. I already saw no one answered that. Back to Mark's statement there. Why am I making 1/8" bits this 1/4 to 1/8 shorter? Is because all router bits have something called deflection, and basically it flexes, right? There's a little bit of flex in the bit, depending on the rigidity of your machine. There can be a flex in the spindle, and that can all compound. But at the end of the day, we want to reduce the deflection of the bit itself. And so that is why I've kept the 1/8, the 1/4 to 1/8, the flute length on it to 5/8, and then it tapers out like that. So you can never cut more than 5/8 deep on it if you're actually doing a cutout on it. So where's that comment? There it is. Got to bump them back off. So I want to get back to this question. This is something that I'm going to have to think a little bit about. So if you have a carve that's taken 10 hours, that's generally going to be a 3D carve, right? So it's a 3D carve or just a very, very large carve, right? So this is a 9-hour carve right here. And the thing with these, that I discovered with this, I did this on the Phantom when I had it on a vacuum table, and I used what they called tile gasket. Tile gasket is a foam, and so when you draw the vacuum, it actually sinks down into the foam a little bit. So once you turn that vacuum on, you can turn it off, but when you turn it back on, it may not draw down exactly the way it needs to. On this project here, this was actually a sample run. There was I did stop the carve, and what came back to the next day and restarted it, turned the vacuum back on, and I had a little step, like it actually started at a different level. And it wasn't so much the control. It could have been a number of factors. It could have been the wood swelled or the machine, temperature difference in the room, and the machine could have, expansion and contraction of the body of the machine, stuff like that. So there are controllers, and I think the G-Sender software out there, I know Mach 3, Mark, you'll have to confirm this, where if you need to stop your carve, you can pause it and resume later, starting at the same G-code level. So I'll have to look in G-Sender because I'm almost certain it has a Afron. What control software do you use to run your CNC router? That would be a good one to know. So, by the way, how did I have to work that little level deviation out on that project? Is I had to go and sand it out all through those little ridges, but you can't tell now. So it's a good question. It's a valid question because running a machine for that long, we do need our breaks. We generally do not want to leave the machine when it's running unless you absolutely know what you're doing and have been doing it for such a long time that you are very, very clear on what's going to happen with your machine. I will look into that myself, and I'll actually talk to if Mark might have some input on that. If Mark, just put in the comments if you do, maybe you can hop on board and share some of those nuts and bolts that you got sitting in your head. All right, Jeremy, what's going on? You've been playing with feed rates using a spindle. When and how should I adjust the spindle speed to match higher feed rates? should you try to follow a chip load chart. So chip load is the ideal way. It's a bit more scientific, right? If you have a chip load chart, then by all means go for it. I don't generally go with chip load because I'm not producing. I'm not running production. I'm not trying to make my system more efficient. And I don't make the same things over and over again. I make stuff generally for you and gifts for friends. I don't make things for production. So chip load is to optimize your router bit, get the best performance out of it, and the longest life out of it that you can. So what I would do if you do not run production, then I would focus more on some of the information that's provided to you. So for like with IDC Woodcraft, at the website, there is a page you go to. It's called Database Downloads, and you download the database. I got it for Vectric, Fusion 360, Carbide Create, and Carveco. Now, those feed rates are conservative, and they are towards the low end for like the trim routers, like Makita and whatnot. Once you step up to a spindle, now you've got a better machine. It runs stronger, it runs straighter, it runs truer. It has much less vibration in it. Spindles are designed for this kind of stuff. The big thing with spindles is their bearings are much higher tolerance, and they're designed for this long runtime of CNC routers. And if you have a trim router on your CNC and you kind of tired of the noise, you might want to consider upgrading to a spindle. There, you can get them off Amazon. If you're not technically savvy and you want to buy speed like I like to do, I will buy a spindle a spindle kit from a company that's already got it pre-done. There's a company called PWN CNC, and Julianne is but running nearly doubled recommended fees. Oh, good. So you're doing the right thing. Yeah, you get the spindle, you double. So the thing is get a feel for it. When you get a spindle, you can definitely increase your feeds and speeds quite a bit, and many times you can increase your plunge depths, your cut depths. But anyway, we'll put it's a spindle kit that is this company has made them for the benchtop routers, the long mill, the Onefinity, Millwright, CNC for newbies, and so on. And so you buy their kit, you tell them what your machine you got, you just pick it out on their website, and they will send you what you need. And connecting the spindle itself is super fast. It's just got to run a couple wires. That's what really takes the time. But mine was up and wired up in about maybe an hour and a half, all the way completely set up, except for the pump. I had to run a water pump line and stuff like that. So I got a water-cooled spindle, which I like better. Makes less noise. Air-cooled, any air-cooled thing makes noise because it's blowing a lot of air through. I want to take a look at our live feed at the moment. And yeah, so Julianne put a link in the comments for that spindle kit. You might want to take a look at it. And if you didn't see, I released a video today. It is for this vacuum system. That's like the only company that has put out a vacuum table for the benchtop CNC routers. And so I wasn't really sure about it, if it'd be that effective. We would want to use it. But when I started playing with it, I realized that I can probably almost eliminate using clamps and CA glue. Just use the vacuum table. So it's very, very cool. I'm going to switch the camera. Oh, I don't have it plugged in. Hold on a second. I just want to show you all. If I can plug it in, there's my wire, and I got both ends of the wire in my hand, so I'm not sure I can do this. There we go. Okay. I just want to show this thing to you. Anyway, I was very impressed with the Airweights system, and it is almost permanently going to be mounted. Yeah, I know. I see what happened. Okay. Let's get things fixed back up. Every time I move this other cam, It messes up on me for some reason. It must be in the wire. Must be in the wire or something. So, but I want to show this to you. This is so cool. All right, so let's see if we can get the other camera working. Maybe not. Maybe not. Guess we're gonna have to do some technical stuff to my computer here. So anyway, let's do it like this. So by the way, just remember this 3D file is if you buy if you get $30 or more off the IDC Woodcraft website for this month, then this file is free to you. It'll come with your order. So it's the Great Seal of the United States, a nice little 3D carve. It's got a lot of detail on it. So anyway, let's I'm gonna hook up this thing is just so cool. I do encourage you to watch that video so you can see how cool this thing is. So I am going to turn the pump on. I'm gonna drop this puppy on and let the vacuum build up. And so there it is. It's super cool. And that just works so well. It's like the only reason we're taking it off right now is because Liberty is making stuff. She's making videos, learning how to do this stuff. She is now doing one-on-ones with Vectric. So if you want some training, want some help, Liberty, you can schedule with Liberty and she will get you set up. I think I kind of got off track. But I do want to let people know that you can download the app for the IDC Woodcraft Feeds and Speeds app as well. So just search IDC Woodcraft for Apple or your Google store, download it, and just have all your feeds and speeds. You can order your bits right there, so you don't have to go search on the computer. All right. So, yeah. So when you get a spindle, you can certainly increase your feeds and speeds. Always keep in mind the rigidity of your machine. And Andrew said he loved Liberty's videos. Liberty has got such a good video presence. I was actually really amazed. So she's got another one. She did the tic-tac-toe board. And now she's going to do the next video is going to be the X's and the O's for the board. And then the girls are going to start doing their epoxy video on that. So I'm excited. I'm glad that they're making some content too. All right. All right. So Absolute Best Custom Wood Products. What a name. I mean, what a declaration, dude. That is like freaking awesome. When you know you're good, you know you're good. You tell the world, right? That's a very attractive name to someone like me. It's bold and it is it's a statement. All right, so I've been asked to make an agrarian game, aggravation game board, but the buyer wants to use the biggest marbles made. When upscaling the board game file, will the spacing be enlarged as well? So if you scale everything up, then everything's going to scale up with it. All right, so I'm going to jump into Vectric. Let me launch it first. You can, yeah, at the end of the day, the answer to your question is yes. If you scale everything up, everything's going to be scaled with it. So if you want to just scale for the bigger marbles, then you can go and scale each individual element from its center location. When you do that, make sure if you do it that way, where you just upsize the marble pockets, then you would just want to kind of keep in mind the size of the marbles and make sure that if one's sitting in one pocket, one's in the one right next to it, that's not like pushing a marble out of the pocket. I'll show you all about the scaling tool because it is something I use quite a bit and it would be good for everyone to know. I did talk about this tool before a couple weeks ago, but you know what? That's what we do. We go through this over and over again. I also did a video on how to change the grid spacing as well. Some people like to use grids. I don't particularly like to use grids, so I'm going to turn mine off. And I'm just going to make a rectangle, and I'm going to make, what I'm doing is I'm showing you how to work with the scaling tool. So I'm making two shapes, a rectangle and a circle. So let's zoom in a little bit to those two so y'all can see it. And so let's say my circle needs to be a little bit bigger. So scaling in the Vectric software is under Transform Objects. It is the second icon from the left, and it will say Set Selected Object Size. So that's how you can upsize and downsize individual elements or groups of elements. When you go into that, then let's see, you got scale selection. So you got a couple selections at the top. I always do scale selection. And then it's got the anchor point. So many of you have seen this rectangular box with the little pick points around the four corners and a pick point in the middle. And that anchor point is the reference point at which you are going to either draw a shape, if you like, say, and draw a rectangle, and you click the lower left corner. When you tell it to create it, or you come out in your screen and create it, it's going to draw the rectangle from the lower left corner, so it'll go up and to the right. So this one right now is selected on center. So when I tell it to change the scaling, it's going to change the scaling relative to the center of the circle. And what we have the width X and the width and the height Y. So we can change. First of all, there's a little checkbox that says link XY. And what that means is when you change something in either width or height, it's going to change it automatically in the other thing. So if I change it in width, it's automatically going to upscale in the height based on the percentage that has been changed. So I'm going to change that 4.107 to 6. And what's going to happen, automatically the height has updated itself to 6. And I simply click apply, and now it has changed that circle to 6 inches. Now, if I want to change both at the same time, I can select as many objects as I want. So let's just say this is your game board and you want to increase the size. Right now it's 10.25. And I would say I want to do a game board with BBs. Right, so I need to take it down. I'm going to change the height to 5. Sorry, the width to 5. And the height is going to change accordingly based on the percentage of the change. And then I apply it, and now it's changed it. So, and of course, you can always hit Control Z to undo if you want to. So let's, and that screen share. So I would love to see what you do with that board. I like to see game boards. I want to do the game Catan. Many people call it Catan. So I want to do all the little tile pieces for that. That's going to be a major project. I want to do it all 3D. Anybody know Catan? Put yes in the comments. I want to know if those who know that game. So just seeing what you guys are talking about. No sound, huh? Can you hear me, Julianne? Okay. All right. So Darren knows what Catan is. John knows what Catan is. It's a very addictive game. I like it. I'll have to teach the girls how to play it. Julianne, do you know that game? Nope, she doesn't know it. All right, let's get on to the next question. All right, this one's coming from Dennis. Hey, Dennis, what's going on, brother? Okay. Oh, I need questions. Hold my beer. Router is stopping mid-carve. Nothing else is turned on or off. Downloaded a mouse moved in case USB is power saving. Had tried 2 senders, got a USB port closed. Okay, so we're getting into some pretty technical stuff here. First of all, there's a Facebook group called CNC Troubleshooters, right? So this, I'm not sure what's going on here, but one of the common things for everybody that happens in CNC routers if it doesn't have good EMI protection. So it's electromagnetic interference, right? If it doesn't have good protection for that, then what can happen is if there's a spike in the power line that's like going to your CNC, like if you got something else on a circuit and you turn it on or turn it off, that can create a sharp drop in the voltage, or it can cause a spike. And if your control is in the middle of something, then it can actually interfere with that, and that spike can cause the control to like lock up, and it doesn't even know what to do. I had that on my Bob's CNC. I actually proved it. I had a little Dremel while I was running the CNC, just letting it run around. And I took a Dremel, turned it on and off, and it wasn't stopping. And suddenly it stopped right in the middle of one of the on-off cycles I did. So that told me that there's it's happening when like maybe a switching is taking place in one of the chips or something like that. So anyway, check for EMI and ground your machine and make sure it's grounded, and try to get it as isolated as you can. Like, don't have other things that might draw power from it, from that circuit. So that's my best answer to that. I've seen it several times. People have had that happen. All right. As far as the other things, the USB port closed, your sender's not working, there may be deeper technical issues. I don't know. That's why I say I don't know. I just don't know. I'm not that technically savvy when it comes to that kind of stuff. Jack said it could be a bad USB, and see what else is there. If you can do a 0, 0 and it is the same, it is not missed steps. So you guys are talking about missing steps. Okay. All right. So sorry I couldn't help you as deep as I wanted to on that. I wish I could, but I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses, and that technical stuff is a serious weakness. That's why I delegate to other people, or divert to other people, recommend other people when it comes to stuff like that. Okay. We got Mike. Hello, IDC team. So, Mike, you received your M&Ms today along with the bonus coated ripper. Oh, yeah. Thanks to Liberty for the note on the package and making me smile on the walk home from the mailbox. That's so cool, right? This is the kind of stuff I love to see, because even Julianne's back there smiling. I think I need to bring her on board. Right, because they're all part of they're part of this. That they're the ones that do it. All right. By the way, little secret to everybody: when you get your packages, open them before your kids get to them or your grandkids get to them.
If you live in a hot area, get to the mailbox immediately to get that package.
Yeah, that is one of the drawbacks of shipping during midsummer or shipping down to Florida and stuff like that. But you know what? You got to pick and choose your battles. There used to be lollipops, but they did not like humidity. Did not like humidity. So, yeah, talk about what, Julianne. Yeah, I mean, he got a ripper too, by the way.
I know. I saw that. I was excited about that one.
Yeah.
Like, we only had, I believe, 20 in stock, 10 coated and 10 uncoated. So yeah, that was, and that name is, oh gosh, it's attributed to the when we asked for suggestions on the name. So yeah, I could go back in my notes, but that would be a lot of flipping. But yeah, it's I always try to throw M&Ms with everything. I even sent some of our payment checks to certain places with M&Ms.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, when we pay our bills.
Yep,
That's
when we pay our bills.
unexpected. I like that. I like how these guys, they just take off on their own. They just do this kind of stuff. It's so cool.
Mhm.
Anyway, all right. So here's one of the faces behind the M&M deeds and the notes. We take customer. I take, and we all do. We take customer our customers very seriously, right? I come from the school of, treat me like a person, treat me like I actually exist instead of a number and a sale. I think we all know that kind of feeling where you just feel like you're just another number and people don't really care. I know that every one of us out there is trying to figure out our way, and we're on whatever part of our journey we're on, and we need help. All right. So I can give you what I know. So, and little special things like that. Companies don't do that. Right. And the reason I'll tell you a little secret. The reason what got me onto the M&M thing, or the little candy treat thing, was because I got a package from some other company. They just threw a little thing of M&Ms in there. And I thought, I still remember that 3 years later. This is a business tip for you, for those who want to do business in your CNC journey. Always do something memorable, right? Do something that's out of the ordinary that makes people feel just a little more special. We've got a sign over the shipping area that says, "Make me feel special." Right? That's so, so important. So whenever you sell a project, throw something in there that just kind of makes them go, "What? That's different." And people remember that stuff. All right. Let's go to Terry from Doggone Productions. All right. Need to make several small boxes out of 1/8 plywood. What do I need to watch for when cutting this thin material on my CNC? So plywood, I'm hoping that you got a couple answers from this, but plywood can, if it's not like a better quality plywood, then you can get some serious chip out along the cut lines. Even if you're cutting with a down cutter and you're cutting parts out, that top, if it's cheap ply, you can get a lot of chip out. I mean, serious chip out. So make sure you're using good quality ply to do that. The other thing is, can you hear that out there? They're like right outside the garage door. Go away. Get out of here. Okay. So the shop, there's an alley here. It's like in the corner of it, in a back alley. It's kind of dark and dreary back here. But anyway, so people are walking through the alley here. Quite a few of them. Okay. So the other thing is warpage. You want to watch out for warpage. That's where something like a vacuum table comes in really handy. This guy right here, if I don't mess up my camera. So that, by the way, those are made to precision measurements, the thickness of those things, the vacuum table. So the thing about a vacuum table, it will draw down anything that it can. So if you have something as thin as 1/8, it will draw that in. So and help keep it flat. So something else to consider. Those are the two things I would think about. And I'm sure you got some other comments. So let's see what's out there. Got to scroll down. Anybody say anything? No, not really. Trim, lock, and rapid change. And don't have one, but okay. If Garrett lets me get a hold of oh boy, the laser. Yes, the girls can run the laser whenever they want. They got to learn light burn, right? I gotta create some light burn videos anyway, and that's the only reason I haven't done that, is because I have to sit down, take the time to learn it. And once I sit down and learn it, I am in it, and I'll just keep on learning. All right, Ronnie, my man, what's going on? Garrett, are you going to be in Boonsville, New York show August 16th, 17th? The boss is saying no. Julia's back there going no. Is what show is that?
I think hold on. Let me look. I think that's the one that was mentioned to us before. And no, we're sticking to one show per month here.
Yeah, maybe every other month. So yeah. IWF is our August show. So
yeah.
Yep, and then
Sorry.
September, I'm going to be in Vancouver, so that's going to take out anything else from there. So the answer is unfortunately not. But as we are discovering more and more shows, we're going to have to come up with something, aren't we? All right, Rich, what's going on? How does a 30 V-bit interact with the XYZ block? You've been skeptical about using it. You're worried about the tip breaking. Okay, so you're talking about the Julianne, throw a link in for the SV30 so you can see what she's looking at. I can even show it to you all just so I can I'll come into the website. So we know what we're talking about here. So everybody's on the same page. First of all, I got to get the V-bits. There we go. It's like an engraving tool, so it's going to be right there. Okay. All right, share the screen. Right there. All right, there we go. So this is a what they call it's a 30-degree bladed V-bit, and what distinguishes it from other bits is there's two types of bit styles in this type, right? So we have a 1/4-inch blank, and then in that blank was ground an angle, and then there's a cutting edge. So some bits are ground flat for the cutting edge, and others have a forward cutting edge, like an end mill would. And so these have that forward cutting edge. They're called knife edge bits, and they're cut much cleaner. So the question is, let's go back to your question. You're worried about tip breaking, so it's got a very fine tip on it, and it's a justifiable concern. If your machine is coming down slow enough, and you for sure have that contact, like you put the magnet on and you tested it first to make sure that that contact will close, it'll set your Z, then you'll be okay, because the long mill here comes down really slow under the probe. But here's the other way you can do it, is you can do the paper method. If you're worried about breaking it, then you might want to consider doing the paper method, where you just nudge that tool down, have a piece of paper underneath the tool on your surface that you're going to zero on, take that paper, just move it back and forth and nudge it down until that paper doesn't move anymore, and then you just set your Z0 there. So that's how you get around that one. So good question, Rich. As far as the X and Y, you can use the XY zeroing command if you're using GSender, or you can just eyeball it to where you want it to be. The thing with that is, if you're worried about losing XYZ zero reference points, then you want to be careful with where you're setting at, so you can reset it in case something catastrophic happens, like a power outage or something. But most of the time, that doesn't happen. How you all doing tonight anyway? I mean, everything going good? Give me a thumbs up on the video, and what you all making? I'd like to know. I got to give you guys some get some input from you all. What's going on? Oh my gosh. So Garrett, you use a 11-degree bit all the time and never had one break during zero on a zero plate. So there you go. So that's happened. But remember, IDC Woodcraft guarantees its bits for 90 days. If you break it, I'll replace it. I won't, no questions asked, right? So that's the way we work. All you have to do is, send the bit back. We got to make sure it's our bit. If there's like some kind of exception, like, God, I'm running this thing right now, it's got to get it done, we'll figure it out. All right. But our bits are guaranteed. So if you drive it into your plate and you bought it within the last 90 days, we're going to replace it anyway. All right. Let's see. So how are people doing? I was just seeing how people are doing. If you have homing, you're talking about homing limit switches. So I'm not sure what you guys are discussing. So, okay. saw that comment about the hog, the question about the hog bit and the chatter. So we'll get back to that one. All right, Norman, you're wanting to do a photo V-carve. Is it necessary to put a vector around the picture? I don't think so. I actually haven't done a photo V-carve, so I'm hoping that question was answered. But Mark, you might be able to help out on this one, because I haven't. I think I played with it once, but I actually never carved anything with the photo carve. I did get somebody to send me something. They sent me actually a photo file. But I didn't design it. That's it. It's supposed to be me and Sarah, but I painted the wood black and then I did it, so it came out like negative. pretty awful, but it is what it is. Yeah, someone else help him out with that question. And MJ, M Jensen, okay, or Jason, Jensen, something like that. All right. Are others finding that? Why is this so small on my screen? Wait a minute, I got to change things. Okay. Are others finding that highly polished carbide bits are sliding out of your collets? Ooh, I like this question. Okay. Your highly polished bits will have a bigger tendency to slide than other bits, but you, first of all, okay, are you cleaning your collet on every bit change? So when we're carving and the air or the sawdust, the air is blowing the sawdust around, that sawdust actually gets up into the collet. And when you take that bit out and you put another one in and you haven't cleaned your collet, now you're starting to get the fine sawdust in between the collet and the bit. And it's almost like little ball bearings. No matter how hard you tighten it, there's now this material between the round and the round that allows that bit to move, and it's what we call bit slip. And most creators run into that early in their journey. You start carving, and before you know it, it's going deeper and deeper. So the second reason common reason that would happen is your collet is starting to wear out. So I do want to give you a tip. Number one, always blow out your collet, clean out your collet before you change your router bit, or when you're doing the router bit change, every time. All right. And then number two, don't get in the habit of super forcing that router bit and that nut. It doesn't need a lot of force to hold that bit. And if you do that a lot, if you put a lot of torque on it, then you're asking to wear out your collet. The next thing is, do I have a router bit here? I do not, but no, I kind of do. Okay, I'll just have to use this little guy. All right, so it's the rule of thirds. All right. So when you are, where's Liberty's things? Right here. Okay, I'll just use this table here. So when you order bits, if you're a first-time customer, you always get this in a sticker form. It's about half the size. And on it, it's got the how you should chuck up your router bits and how you should not chuck up your router bits. So sometimes what people will do is they will take that router bit and try to get as much length out of it as they can. So they'll only be chucking up about that much of the shank into the collet. And then you're tightening it down. And what you're doing is now you're starting to add stress. You're starting to cause deformation in the collet itself. So you do not want to try to stick your router bit out as far as you possibly can. So if you don't have this, Julianne, do you have a link for that? Okay, so Julianne will put a link in the thing, and then you can get a copy of that if you order from IDC Woodcraft for first time would have come. So when it comes to the clean out of your collet, right, it's part of your setup and part of your normal operation. And so bit slip is the cleaning the collet is such an important thing because it will introduce bit slip if you don't. And that's why I've got the CNC project setup checklist that's available to you for free. And this actually has that on there under the router bit section when you're starting to install your router bit. This walks you through every setup, that everything that you do during your setup, and then a couple extra things that we normally don't think about. Believe it or not, you are actually doing most of the stuff, but that's why pilots have checklists, right? So we don't crash your plane. We have this checklist so you don't crash your machine, break your bit, forget to set your X, Y, Z 0. How many of us have done that? Put yes in the comment if you've done that. I'm almost sure I'm going to see a bunch of yeses. Come on, I'm looking. I'm looking at the comments. It's not coming in. All right. Okay, well, I guess we will move on. Nobody has ever done that. Okay. Let's see. What are a couple things I got to talk about here? So I talked about the Stars and Stripes. Talked about the AltMill. So far, I'm pleasantly surprised at the AltMill. As far as the build, it's solid. The whole frame is very nicely done. And the instructions are well done. If you're thinking of getting a CNC, there will be a link in the comments for that. Right. And it's also going to be down in the description. A lot of the stuff I'm talking about is going to be in the description of this video. We've talked about IWF. We're going to do a live down there. And so, brothers and sisters, show up, man. Let's get you on the live with us and just say hi to the brothers. We'll get a little bit of your story. You can tell how you got into CNC, some of your, maybe we can just do a big shindig, right? We'll sit around with not water and ask Julianne to do a lot of things. She's back there going, yes. Okay. New bits. We're getting ready to come out with new bits. So make sure you're on the CNC Insiders list. I will be sending emails out shortly about them. We have not decided on pre-orders, but remember, CNC Insiders get a 15% discount on new releases, right? For a limited time, but you get it. And what happens when we do that, Julianne, when we do a new release?
Eek.
You're live.
I'm so sorry. I was looking at the questions and the comments that are coming in. What happens when what? Can you restate the question, please?
Yeah, when we do a product release, and
Oh.
we tell the CNC Insiders that with their discount.
Well, usually the products sell out pretty quickly. A lot of people take advantage of that discount. Takes a lot of repairing, and yeah, got me on the spot with that one.
I did. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, we tried a new product out on that marble maze. That did nice. That
It
did
did
really
better than nice. That did
do better.
phenomenally fantastic.
Yeah, it was new design. My tooling company said they couldn't do it, and I told them what I tell them or any other body that when I want something, I'd say I tell them the Henry Ford quote: "If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right, but I'm still going to have it. Somebody's going to make it." That works out. All right. So yeah, so just be watching. The stuff does sell out really fast most of the time, and but you get the discount. And yeah, okay. What else? I think. Oh, next week we have Kyle Ely on board. Kyle, the Vectric guy, the Vectric master. For those of you who are new to the Vectric software or just want to learn more, Kyle is going to be on next week. He's from Learn Your CNC. He's the only person who's got like a real full-blown course for you to walk you through the software. And I am I preach. When you buy a $3,000-$4,000 CNC router, you're getting $300-$400 worth of router bits, and you're buying a $400 to $700 program, software program. Some, in the case of Aspire, $2,000. it's worth spending some time to learn how to work it, because your projects and your design is only going to be as good as your knowledge with that software. So I do encourage it. People like me, I don't want to take that time, and then we try to bounce around YouTube all day long and wait for answers that never come. All right. So with the design software, Julianne will put a link in that. There's a free boot camp. Check it out if you want to see. Other comments for those of you who are taking Kyle's course, let other people know what you think about it. All right, we're going to get back to some questions here. It is 9 o'clock, top of the hour. I got 13 questions in the queue at this point. Go ahead and keep asking your questions, but remember, we're going to, if I don't get through what I got here, which I expect I will, then we'll get to yours. But, you know, I got a cutoff time. I do have to eventually sleep and stuff like that. Okay, so Mr. Tim, miter 5 trim carpentry. Okay. All right. Could you recommend a tool setter that will be easily programmable with G-Sender? Well, G-Sender's got their own tool setter with them. If you're, so they got this tool setter here, and I'm kind of thinking I may know what you're thinking about, but we'll see. So G-Sender has a tool setting capability right in it. It's just right there. So they get the corner tool setter, and then they have the auto touch plate, they call it, and it can do your sets with like V bits and ball nose bits, right? So you don't have to do a bit change out after you do the tool setter. It's actually pretty cool. But if you're talking about like a fixed tool setter off the side of the machine, then they have the long mill. Let's just put it this way. I don't know what CNC router you have, but if your router is compatible with GRBL, right, or is a GRBL machine, if it wasn't, you wouldn't be using G-Sender, then the super long board, I think, has capability for that. The super long board is designed to create an inexpensive solution to the Masso board, right, which is a much more complicated, like industrial level board. So the super long board is built on the idea of, let's make this industrial level control board. But I cannot recommend a specific tool setter other than what they have right now. Speaking of that, Julianne, make a note of this. I want to talk to the company that makes the tool changers. That's a drinking statement. All right. Brooks. Tape splitting will divide the 3D roughing into X numbered G code line, adding the header and footers to each segment file. Tape splitting. Okay. So I've actually not done that. So I guess you're talking about this one where the person has the 10-hour run job, right? And how do you do this? So I think what's going on, what he's saying here is I don't even know how to word what I'm saying here, but headers and footers in each segment. So basically what he's saying is you can split a G-code file. All right. For example, the G-code file for this guy, if I didn't want to wait 9 hours for this thing to run, I would go into the G-code file. By the way, this thing has like 5 million lines to it in order to run this project. So if I wanted to split that up, I could actually go into the file, find some point in that G-code, and I could separate it out into its own file, and then I would take the final commands, which would be like telling the tool to go up and then to go to the home position, turn the spindle off, and I can insert those into the file, and I can actually manually separate the files that way. That's one way of doing it. So, yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Brooks, because that's one technique too that works. So tape splitting, that's an old term. So in the old CNCs, when they first came out, they used this paper tape that had a bunch of holes in it, and if one of the punch outs didn't like punch out all the way, then that totally messes up the program. And also, one of the notorious things that we would have to deal with is the tape breaking right in the middle of the process. So one of those things, but thank goodness they got away from that. So that's where the tape thing came in. So basically what I didn't do this, but you'd cut that tape at some point, and you'd take another tape that has those commands to tell the machine to go home, and just tape it at the end of it, and it would roll out and the machine would leave. And then you start the new series of commands, tape that to the next segment. All right, Gary is asking a question. Is there a way of getting a hold of someone who has posed a question on the program that doesn't have a YouTube channel? Maybe Julianne, could you help with this? I was trying for Mike T. So is there a way of getting a hold of someone who has posed a question on the program but doesn't have? Okay, so yeah, I'm sure Julianne already answered that. Since you asked Julianne, you have to drink, right? That's just the rule. But so basically, they don't have a YouTube channel. You might. So I'd always recommend, if you're not on Facebook, then join all the Facebook groups. You got Vectric Tips and Tricks. You got the one I run, CNC Entrepreneurs. Go recognize that person's name. You can ask them here what group they're in, and then go find them that way. DM them or ask them to contact you. Here, you can do that in this thread. Just figure out a way to communicate with them. So, and don't be shy. We're all part of one big family. All right, Kimberly, sister Kimberly, good to see you. You tried your first bull bit. So noisy. Yeah, the bull bit, that thing just slaps that wood. Are you doing conventional feed or climb? So if you're doing a climb, it's going to make a little more noise than the conventional feed, because the climb is coming around, and the way the router bit is designed, as it's moving forward, it's coming along a straight cut corner, and it's going to slap every time it hits that. If you go into a conventional, it actually comes in to start to scrape the material as it's chunking it away. And so that's one of the things that you can do to reduce the noise. However, it's a larger bit too. So larger bits are going to make more noise. Rigidity of CNC routers will depend on how much noise it makes. If that vibration passes up into the machine, make sure, again, that you follow the standard with bits like that, particularly with your wide body bits. Big deal, right? So what this is the how to chuck up your CNC router bits chart I put out from IDC Woodcraft, because nobody tells people that, and I've seen too many people break them because they chuck them up wrong. So it was time to come out with a guideline. What do we got in the comments there? End mills 2-inch. You guys talking about end mills? It started with punch cards. Eric started with punch cards. Wait a minute. You started with punch cards, dude? Wow. I remember that when I was in grade school. So, wow. The thing with punch cards, for those of us who know what they are, right? If you have a stack of them, and if you got a punch card out of order, you messed up the entire system. So, Julianne, you'll check and try conventional if not already set up that way. Kimberly said that. So, what else you guys got going on there? Okay. Let's get back to the questions. Hey, this is Dale, our man Dale. This is the first. So Dale was our first product tester. Dale, by the way, come over to the Facebook, the YouTube page. You're on Facebook right now. Come over to the IDC Woodcraft YouTube if you haven't already, because that's where everybody's hanging out at. Anyway, Dale was the first person who tested the Ripper. All right, so he ran it through some tests and sent back some video. Pretty impressive, and he said that thing has lasted quite a bit. And finally, it started to wear out, so he ordered another one. So he said, "Hey, Garrett, how you doing tonight?" Dale here in Texas. So very cool to see you here, brother. Andrew, can a desktop hobby Mouser Pro handle a spindle? I don't know. I've never seen that machine. So it's a MOSUTER. Let's take a look. Okay. MOSUTER Pro CNC. Let me take a look. I want to see what this is. And then I can try to give you a better idea. So that's a Fox Alien machine. And looks like that one has a smaller spindle on it. So if that's the machine I'm thinking of, it already has a little tiny spindle on it. To get a bigger one on there, I would not put a bigger one on there. Yeah, I wouldn't put a bigger spindle on there. Oh well, I don't know. So I'm going to show you what I'm looking at, and you can put in the comments whether this is the right machine or not. So let's go to there. So that's the Fox Alien Masuter Pro. So it's got that little small spindle on it, little 15 watt spindle. I'm not sure what the wattage is. I'm looking at the construction. This is a V wheel. It is riding on a V track. I'm kind of curious about that V track. It looks black in the picture right here, so I don't know if that's metal or not metal. I would say you do not want to upgrade to a larger spindle on this thing. It might be able to handle a trim router, but I would not. You have looks like the NEMA, the motors on it looks like they are NEMA 17. What does those look like to you guys? Is those NEMA 17s or the 23s? I'll switch back to me. What are some of the comments there? A good out type. Okay, these guys they're talking about the good old days. All right. There's a 60 watt. Yes, you have a trim router on mine. Okay. They're just babies. Somebody said, Wade said, don't miss metal. Anyway, okay, so that one does not look like you can add a spindle to that, brother. Sorry. Okay. All right, Raymond, brother Ray. What I do for long parts is take a screen capture of the G code page where I stopped using Mach 3. I print out the page, highlight the line where you stopped at. So yeah, you just making notes of the G code where you stopped at. This for the long runs again. So several different ways you can do this stuff. All right, absolute best custom wood products. Note this guy's name of his business, right? Catchy, and ballsy. I like it. Bold. Okay, there was a question about ATC. Has anyone looked at the rapid change? You're running a Masso, but a little confused on how it integrates. So this is something that you would want to contact the company that makes the tool changer and ask them about this. I want to look into that as well. So you want to talk to Onefinity, since I'm assuming you have Onefinity. They're the ones that have the masses on their machine. And also I would call a company where you're considering doing the tool change and see how they integrate. So that's I can't wait to try that. That's going to just another project in the works here. So we have Nico. Nico, if you're on Facebook, come over to IDC Woodcraft YouTube channel. Everybody's hanging out there. You bought the hog using a pine on pine. You're getting a lot of chatter. Any suggestions? I would turn up your RPMs a little bit. Make sure, again, you were following the chucking guide. This guy right here. So you're not trying. You just follow the chucking guide. Right. Download this and follow that. Check your machine too. If you're getting a lot of chatter, then you may have loose components on your machine. So double check that as well. And don't forget to start using the checklist, right? Save yourself some from wrecking your projects because we forgot a step in your setup. All right. So who's going to IWF? Put in a comment if you are going to IWF. What am I going to do? An aluminum carve on a long mill? I did an aluminum carve a long time ago. I did a little 3D thing. So the long mill, I did try to do some aluminum on that, but it doesn't handle it that great. I'll try it again with the spindle, see how it works. But when it comes to metal on the CNC router, we always want to be careful, because we are turning our spindles at much higher rates than is designed for metal, right? Metal takes a lot more work to remove the material. So we always want to be really, really careful. If you're doing thin metal cutting, then you can handle that. But if you want to do like regular machining on metal, then CNC router is not the way to go. But we'll find out with the AltMill, because they did actually do aluminum, a nice aluminum piece. So I want to do that myself. So let's see who else going to IWF. Oz says he wished he could go, and let's see, what is IWF from Carlos. So Carlos, IWF is a thing that happens every year. It is a international woodworkers fair. It's a very large trade show. So I have no idea who all's going to be there or what's going to be there, but my intention is to go there, make contact with a lot of companies, and get discounts for you, right? And get them on board here, like on the live, so we can take their expertise, like Total Boat, stuff like that. By the way, CNC Insiders, for everybody, for those who get on the CNC Insider list, I get discounts from many companies, right? I strive to do that, right? And so the CNC Insiders do get the good fortune of getting those discounts. It gets fed to you slowly, right? But you get it. Okay. Hey, Jim is just 25 miles south of Atlanta. He's going to be there. All right, Jim, you know this face. I'm going to bring Julianne out as soon as she stops feeding herself. Okay, she's like, no, she's trying to swallow now. All right, she's good. remember this face, and the other face will be our videographer, Adam. So be watching for us. IWF is supposed to be really big. Julianne told me it's coming. It's in four showrooms. Is that right? Four showrooms. And if you've been a trade show showroom, they're big, big, big. Intimidating almost. Carlos, how do you add bits on Vectric that are not labeled with like Amana bits? So that are not labeled like Amana bits. So I'm not. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So one of the things, let me go into the software here. Let's share screen. I got to stop that one. Present, share screen, go to Vectric. I just want to explain what he's talking about. So his question is, how do you add bits in Vectric that are not labeled like a mana bit? So I don't have a mana's database, right? But I know a mana has like a 5-digit number for all their bits. And so all their bits are listed as those 5-digit numbers. I don't particularly care for that because that number doesn't really tell us anything. So here's what I do with the IDC Woodcraft database is, let's go open the database. What I would do is create your own tool. You add your own tool to it. And I've got a video that shows how to do that, how to add tools to your database. And I know Mark does too. I did it a long time ago. And then you can add that tool wherever you want to. So if I wanted to add one to the downcut end mills, then I would highlight that. I would say plus, add a tool under selected tool group. Click that. Now it has created a ball nose 1/4 inch end mill. Right. So now it has started to create some information out in the right. The first thing you want to do is put whatever information you want in the notes section, like where you got it from. You can put a hyperlink in there. The next thing you want to do is declare what kind of bit it is. Since I'm putting it in downcut end mills, I want to make sure that I categorize it as a downcut end mill or an end mill. All right, and now that's the end mill. It says 3-inch surfacing, so I can go in and start changing some other settings. I don't want to mess up my database, so I'm going to dump that, trash that. But that's how you do it. And then you can enter in all your information as you want. Yeah, I don't, that's how you do it. And you can actually create a new group as well. An independent group. Like I had the downcut end mills. If you got the Amana database, so Amana has a tool database too. And if you use theirs, it's probably going to be titled at the top level. It's probably going to say Amana router bits or something like that. Like mine says IDC Woodcraft router bits, and then it trees down in from there. So you may want to make a brand new category that says Carlos's router bits, something to that effect, and then you can enter the information there. One thing I like to do in these databases, by the way, is I'm going to share again. So I got to go back to that. I don't do it. I used to do it early on when I wasn't a router, when IDC Woodcraft wasn't a router bit company, but I would move all the router bits that I didn't use or deactivate them in some way, because if you get download a database like the Mana or the IDC Woodcraft database, you see there's lots of router bits in there, and that can clutter up what you're working with. If you only have a few bits, then you don't need all those bits in the database, so you can copy them somewhere else as well. So Carlos, if you have 10 or 15 router bits, find the ones that you have, copy them into a new group, create a new group, and that way and then you collapse all the other groups, and that way you got all your router bits listed right there. All right, Galaxy Federation. Did I ever tell you I liked your name? I think I say this every time when I see this name. Okay, your CNC is located in an unconditioned garage and operates at temps from 30 degrees to 95 degrees. Any concerns at operating at these extreme temperatures? So what I have done, right, is if it's really cold out, you just start the machine up, maybe write a little program that cycles it around a little bit. Maybe a 5-minute program. It'll turn the spindle on. It'll move the machine back and forth on all the axis, gets everything loosened up and warmed up, and then you can bring it up. I don't really see anything wrong with running at 30 degrees, right? I see something wrong at running at, unless you got a water-cooled spindle and you have straight water in your water-cooled spindle, then that's an issue. But 30 degrees, I should be fine. 95 degrees. I've run mine there. Of course, you run the risk of things overheating a lot more. So Yeah, I mean, if you're getting if it's running and it's starting to run hot, then I would start to get a little concerned. Devices, electronic devices that start to get in environments that are over like 125, 130 degrees, they start to fail. They start to not work. So as long as you're not running 130 degrees, something like that, at least you can still run it, but just monitor the temperatures. Strange question from Dennis. Your mind wanders. All right. That's what I like. Mind wanders all over the place, doesn't it, Julianne? Yeah, she's shaking her head. Yeah. Has anyone done a carve for a tall job sliced into different jobs? So, i.e., first job would be a base, next job secures the base, and such onto the top of the of a tall piece. So there is a feature in the Vectric software. I think it's Mark helped me out on this one. So there's a feature in it where for like 3D models you can segment it. So if you have a tall 3D model that's obviously not going to fit under your gantry, you can slice those segments and do one 3D segment at a time. So I know it has that. There's no problem with creating a base, carving that out to whatever you want to do. Take the next element and carve that out, and then stacking them together. I mean, sure, you can absolutely do that. It just takes a little more thought. I want to do a project like that though, so I'll have to work on making a video for that. So hopefully you get some other answers in the comments regarding that. I'm just going to pop over there and take a look. Mark said you can slice 3D models in V-carve and Aspire. So I've never done it, so I'm not going to run through it here because I don't know how to do it. Yeah, what else are we talking about here? See what you guys are chewing the fat on over here. Okay, let's go back to a question. All right, from Gary, you recently made a sign out of ACM. So that's aluminum composite material, and it wore your bits out quite quickly. Can you recommend an 1/8" bit? You believe the two were high-speed steel. Well, there's your first problem. So you don't want to use high-speed steel bits, especially on CNC routers. Whether you're doing, you just don't want to use them, right? Even handheld routers. I had those early on, and if you are not set your speed right and you're not keeping up with your feed rate, then it's going to overheat and burn out really quick. So high-speed steel is generally what your standard drill bits are made of that you buy at the hardware store. You'll drill holes into the wall, and sometimes you can drill metal. They are not nearly as heat tolerant as carbide is, and they cannot be run as fast as CNC routers will run. So that is probably the first problem. What kind of bits? O-flute bits will be good. So for those of you who don't know, ACM is what they call aluminum composite material. I know I've got a piece around here somewhere, but not within grabbing distance. And so it is like a HDPE or some kind of plastic sandwich between two very thin sheets of aluminum. All right, and it's really good for outdoor stuff. You can get them in different colors, very weather and tolerant to UV light because it is metal as opposed to the urethane and other stuff of plastics that do react with UV much more readily. So I gotta try some work on that. I've got a sheet. I bought it a while ago and I actually haven't messed with it. So I'm gonna mess with that to tell you. But yeah, get away from your high-speed steel bits. That's the first problem. Big fat no. All right, Ernie, you're in reference to my chucking guide. Can you or should you touch the top of the tool to the spindle if the flutes do not enter the collet? So what he is saying, I'm going to draw a little picture here. The question he's asking is, and I'm going to imagine that some people already asked this answered this with my cheesy drawing. All right, so we're just going to say this is the spindle nut here, and this is a spindle. Wait, that's the spindle shaft, and then up inside is the hole in the shaft where your router bit and your collet can slip up into it. And so what he's saying, the way I'm interpreting his question is, can you butt that bit right up there and tighten things down? And the common school of thought is no, don't do that. You can throw some unusual stresses into the bit and break the actual tip, the top tip of the bit. As a matter of fact, that is covered on the chucking guide. It's a big red don't butt that bit right up to the top. Multitude of reasons, but the kind of the main reason is if that is not drilled in a way where when they turned the inside of that shaft, if it didn't get cleaned up and it's not dead flat and you're pushing your router bit up into that, and it starts cutting, there's this weird force that's being applied to the end of it. So it's always the word is don't do that. All right, Richard, where can you buy or something to cut end mills? Where can you buy or something to cut end mills carbide? Oh, so I'm assuming that you want to like hold on. Let's get this. The way I'm interpreting this one is you want to cut off an end, like a little piece there, right? Just get rid of piece of the end. You want to get more whatever out of the whatever you want to do. So first of all, the shanks on these things, we design them to a certain length on purpose. But if you need to cut a little bit off, the carbide does not cut well with your standard cutting tools. It's very, very hard. And there is a green, they call it a greenstone, right? I've never seen it as a blade, but I'm sure it exists. You got to look for a tool that actually cuts carbide. I've never had to do that, not in a long time. I'm going to actually go to Amazon, take a quick look, and see if I can find carbide cutting saw, carbide grinding wheel. Okay. Yeah, you have to do some research. I don't have, I can't really give you good guidance on that one. Diamond cutters will work for that as well. Just got to keep things cool. All right, Joe, in California, your shop gets pretty hot. No air conditioner yet. How warm of a shop until you damage a controller? Well, so this is a question to take back to the company that sold you your machine, right? They're the ones that are going to know what the limitations of the circuitry is. So I would say if you can't stand the temp, your machine is not going to be able to stand the temp. Right? That's probably a good rule of thumb. That's when my shop is getting so hot that I can't stand it, then I'm going to think my machine can't handle it either. All right, my miter 5 trim. Am I planning on trying an ATC with the AltMill? Would love to see that. Yeah, I do want to do that. It's going to be a little bit yet, but I do want to do that. Maybe I'll put Liberty in that level. Give her some new technology to play with. Remember, if you are looking to do a one-on-one with Vectric, you can go to the IDC Woodcraft website. Liberty is now a one-on-one trainer. She said she's scared to do it, but you got to start somewhere. And of course, take a minute to give me a thumbs up. Remember IWF. I can do a couple more questions here. IWF. Let us know you're going. Well, better yet, just find us. You don't need to let us know you're going, but find us. And I think what we're going to do is when we do the live during that time, we'll get everybody together and we'll just kind of have it. We'll figure it out. We'll go on the fly, just like we're doing here. Yeah, Mark said, if you're comfortable, the CNC will be comfortable. If you're not comfortable, the electronics in your CNC will not. Won't be comfortable either. So, same rule of thumb. If you got to be in your shop. So here's the other way I look at this. Have you ever been in a temperature where it's hot enough that the fan is blowing on you? You got a fan that's blowing lots of air. You got it set on high, and you feel like it's blowing nothing but hot air. That's too hot. You're not cooling off. Eric, question probably too late, but do I have a discount code for the spindle upgrade for the long mill? So we do. It's generally reserved for the CNC insiders, but Julianne, go ahead and give them the discount. Julianne will give that to you. I just made a very special exception. I don't normally do this. Not publicly. So if you want to upgrade your spindle, she's going to throw in a link and our discount code that is normally reserved for CNC insiders. So make sure you get on the CNC insiders list. We got bits coming. You'll get a discount. Paul, my man, could I explain the difference between O-flute and end mill? You ordered O-flute but couldn't wait and had to use an 1/8 end mill or 1/16 O-flute on King Color Core. Okay. So yeah, there's a huge difference. So you were probably fighting with that end mill unless you got your feeds and speeds set up really well. So the difference between, I guess I'm going to have to go to the IDC Woodcraft website. First of all, the difference between, before we get to the website, an O-flute. So you know in your end mills, the end mill is the spiral bit. So there's a down cut, there's an up cut. So the flute of the router bit is the actual groove that goes down that bit. It's right in front of the cutting tooth. Technically, the cutting edge is called the cutting tooth. And so most end mills are two flute, but the only exception at IDC Woodcraft is the beast and the hog and the ripper, right? These roughing bits. Those are three flute bits. So an O-flute has one flute in it, and it's an upcut type of bit. In other words, when it's spinning, the flute, the geometry of the flute will actually eject the chips up. So the same thing with an upcut end mill. The first difference between an upcut end mill and an O-flute is the bottom cutting dynamics, or the bottom cutting geometry. So an upcut end mill has a cutting edge on the bottom. That's why they called it end mill. That's actually where the term end mill comes from. It mills at the end of the bit, right? And so, but it just kind of carried out as a general term. An O-flute does not have bottom cutting characteristics. And the difference, I'm going to bring one up. So let's go over to the IDC Woodcraft website. And let's share that screen. Let's go here. I'm going to go to OF-14. Bring that puppy up. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. The hog came up with the OF, so we have to check something out. See why it's categorized like that way. The O-flute, so you can see the end of that there has a different geometry at the end of it. It does not have a cutting edge at the bottom of the end mill. All right. So the thing with O-flutes is they are designed, the most specific reason they're designed for is that spiral is what we call a fast spiral, or the flute. As it spins around, that spiral ours is a half turn spiral over 1 inch. So every time that router bit makes a turn, a half a turn, that flute has already gone all the way to the top. The reason for that fast, shallow angle of that flute is to create a fast ejection track for the plastic material. When we're cutting plastics like you were here, what you're doing is you're melting the plastic. It's melting just by we're always generating heat when we're cutting. It takes work to do any kind of cutting, whether it's wood, metal, plastic, and so that heat needs to go somewhere. Generally with the plastics, it'll transfer right into that plastic. And if you don't get that plastic out of there fast enough, it'll start to stick to the bit. It'll stick to the place it was just cut from. So that's the reason for that really high angle of ejection. Whereas the end mills will have a shallower up angle, right? So because it's not needed, you don't need that fast of an ejection for wood, and wood just doesn't cut so well with that type of geometry. So that's why we have specific geometries for different things. I hope I covered that a little bit. So your finish on your King Core, you probably were fighting with it because of that, because you weren't getting enough material getting out of there. The other thing with the O-flutes, they have very deep flutes, whereas the end mills don't have nearly as deep of a flute. So there's not as much room for that chip to kind of gather up and fire out of the top of the flutes. Hope I got that. Clyde says, keep making sawdust, folks. Mark is saying the O-flute stands for open. It's designed to eject lots of chips. Right? See, Mark just said it in 2 sentences, what took me just 5 minutes to say. So is that the O-flute stands for open. It's designed to eject lots of chips rapidly, get them out of there before they have a chance to heat up and melt. All right, so there you go. Anyway, there are no more questions in the queue. So we're just going to, oh, wait a minute. Julianne threw something in there. It came from Dakota. I like that name. Hey, Garrett, I don't have a question, but I wanted to take a moment to say thanks for what you do, man. You have made so much positive impact in my business. That is really nice to hear. Thank you. And I'm actually curious. I'd like to know how I had impact in your business. There's one thing well, there's two things. One thing that inspires me. It's right. Seeing people grow, helping people grow, and helping people see the IDC Woodcraft kind of mission is to create a way for every person on the planet to show and express their creative side through CNC technologies. Right. That's the whole thing that why I do what I do. Right. And also to help people in their mission. I know that a lot of times that when we have, particularly for retirees, I mean, they lied to me about retirement because, it's not what it's cracked up to be. All right. We spend all our lives waiting to do the things we want to do for retirement, right? Instead of having that life experience along the way. And then we get to retirement and we start to run into that. What am I going to do with my life now? Your sense of purpose you start to discover that your sense of half your sense of purpose was at work, doing things for the world and working with the other people that depended on you. And then that's gone. And it leaves us empty, and we start searching for something. And if we go long enough without finding that thing that's going to inspire us and drive us, like creating these designs out of midair with this amazing technology of the software or CNC routers and very cool CNC router bits and the community, right? If we don't find something like that, life can go downhill. And inside, we can feel quietly depressed. I know I was going that way. I shared my story. I put a gun to my head, right? Back in 2018. Right? That's how far down I was. Although I left work. I didn't retire. I couldn't stand it anymore. I didn't want to go life anymore. I lost my wife to cancer. I lost my best friend to cancer. I lost my mom to a stroke. And all that just kind of woke me up. And I decided, you know, I've got to go live life before my body starts breaking down. So I did a lot of stuff, right? I got all my stuff, all I wanted to do out of my system. And then it was like, what am I going to do now? Right? I didn't know what my new purpose was. You know, that's when I quit work. And I didn't know, but what was going to fill that thing in me. We all have a calling in us. We all have got something we're searching for. And I really wanted to find it. And somehow, eventually, I finally landed on CNC and discovered that I have the heart of a teacher. And it's been a blast ever since. I've made so many new friends. I hang out with you guys on every Wednesday night, run into y'all at trade shows. Y'all drop by the shop and say hi. And yeah, it's so cool. I don't know. They lied about retirement. And that's what makes CNC so cool. I have an attitude about retirement, which I won't tell you about, but yeah, I just got that kind of little. All right, what do we got out there? Ellen, the sister. I need to get Ellen back on here. We'll plan that one out. You were able to change your grid pattern today from my short little video. Thank you. This will be helpful. Cool. Yeah, I just made like a 5-minute video that showed you how to change the grid on your thing. So what else we got in here? I like the way Mark put it. Retirement is hard work. It's hard emotional work. It's hard work. I think sometimes people work more in retirement than they did in real life before retirement, because retirement, I don't know, just not my cup of tea. I love constantly growing. I love learning. I love giving and teaching. What else we got out here? Got another question you threw up there, Julianne, from our brother John. John Northumberland. Can I take a photo, convert to SVG, then edit it before you create toolpaths? Since I have not done a lot of photo carving, I haven't done any photo carving. I can't answer that. But Mark, if you got a video on it, which I'm sure he does, throw that up there. Other people, if you can answer that question, that would be awesome. What else we got out here? Paul said, thank you. Received his bits. Can't wait to try the correct bits. Lucky for you. The project turned out great. Excellent. Good. I'm glad. I'd like to know what bits you used to make that work. And enjoy your M&Ms. Ellen said she was looking at who is hiring today. Okay. Wonder what that means. Hiring for CNC, or looking for a job because you're getting bored being at home? Ellen, you got such a cool gig right now. But yeah, we all got to go do our thing, right? And we got to follow our heart. I am a big proponent of following your gut, listening to your gut, following your heart. Screw the logic. I've gotten more stuff done. I've had more experience by saying, by not worrying about whether I have enough money or not, just go have the experience, right? Money is it's just a tool, right? We can always get more of it. Mark said the CNC is the best way to get your creative juices flowing. It's been what keeps me going. Money can't buy this. No, it can't. This is a big thing of what I mean, at the end of the day, when people are doubting whether they should get a CNC, this is what it comes down to. There's two things people usually worry about. Number one is, do I want to spend the money, that's much money on it? That's not the problem. The true problem, it's not two, it's one problem. The true problem is they're afraid that they're not be able to do it. But if we don't jump off a diving board with an empty swimming pool down below, we'll never know if that swimming pool will fill up. And I can promise you, that swimming pool will fill up every time. What else we got out there? You guys have been talking a little bit. Third chapter is not to be feared. You're a great teacher, brother. RNA Creative Woodworks. Thank you. What else? John said he's retired and has 6 Saturdays and a Sunday every week. That is a good way of looking at it. I retired and I started a business. No, this is what I do, right? My whatever we do, whatever we inspire ourselves to do, if we follow that dream and tell the people that tell us we can't, when they say that, you say, but I'm doing it. Right? Like Amelia Earhart said, you never tell somebody that they can't do something that they're already doing or they're in the process of doing. It's not about being able to do it. It's about finding the resources to figure it out. Did you notice you don't get time and a half on weekends and holidays? All right. Mark does not have a video on that topic. It's an art of its own. Okay. That is one thing with the Mark has said this before. I say this, and as a creator, as content creators, to teach you, we all do this. Is what is the big things that people are asking, right? There's if somebody asks me 15 times how to set up feeds and speeds on something, then I will do a video on it because that question keeps coming up. But if it's a one-off thing, but I guess we're talking about the photo carves now. I don't retired and purchased a long mill. That's what Ralph did. Oh, everybody's telling me some stories here. Let's see. RNA was a manager, and most of the guys that worked for you were retired and couldn't take it anymore. There are statistics out there about getting retired and not having a new purpose, and they're not good statistics. So I never stop. I never want to stop. Mark said, you think Ellen was commenting on your joke of needing to find a job so I can get some rest? Yeah, maybe, Mark. That was pretty good. And she said, yes, Mark. Okay. What else? We'll cover a couple other comments. Mark said, that's my mission. To show people that none of this is over their heads. If I can learn it, anyone can. Amen. That's the interesting thing when we're afraid to dive in. We don't see the big picture of the 400,000 people out there in our community that are doing it now, and we realize, wait a minute, they had to start at the beginning. Hey, Bart is on board. My man Bart. Look at his name on there. Isn't that so cool, the way he's designed that? I don't know how he does it. I've asked him about that years ago. Bart was watching the channel when I first started. Let's see. All right. Well, brothers and sisters, is there a place on IDC I can sell my extra CNC? It's a shop bot 24 by 36. Oh, I thought about that. I thought about putting a thing on where people can post their machines. So we do not have something set up for that right now. There are a couple companies out there, but this is something maybe to consider. So our last drink of the evening, I'm going to ask Julianne just to make a note of that for some time in the future that we will discuss it. Drink, y'all, and we are going to end the show with that. Next week, Kyle Ely is going to be on board, the Vectric master. So bring your Vectric questions with you, and he will be on the stage. I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines, just watching him talk and help you all out. And remember, IWF, we will be there, and I look forward to seeing you. We will see you next week, 8 o'clock, same CNC time, same CNC channel.